This is so weird. I've never started this before. Joe's always been the one to start it. I built this moment up in my head. I was like, I'm going to do it. It's just weird. Anyway, hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Some Pulp episode. This is episode 7. Today's a little different. My usual co-host, Joe Lauria, is not with us at this moment. He's totally fine. Do not worry. Also, I'm Josh Jones. But today, we have a new permanent co-host of the Some Pulp Podcast.
Yeah. Do I introduce
you've already been on the podcast before.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. I'm Henry O'Brien. I was once a guest on this podcast, and I was also an editor of this podcast as well. Now they decided to make me a host. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much for joining us. I mean, that episode was one of my favorite episodes that we've done.
Yeah, I love talking about movies, and the fact that I get to do it now as a host is super fun.
No, I'm excited.
I get to do that. I'm so ready to go.
You know, and you like very much fit into the vibe that Joe and I have
fitting
created.
Into the vibe is the most important thing.
Most certainly, it's really weird. I'm surprised about how well it's worked so far, at least in my opinion. Like, obviously, it's kind of vain to be like, oh, like the podcast is good, but like Joe and I didn't know each other before doing this. We maybe had like 3 phone conversations before our first episode, and I feel like they've all come out like pretty solid.
Remarkable chemistry. That's good.
And then you hopped in I mean, like, Joe because of the radio station.
Yeah, so we have already good chemistry as it is there, so it's good. It's just again, I'm just really happy to be here, excited to talk about movies with y'all.
Yes.
Hello again, I'm Henry.
And I'm trying to get better at doing this. The Some Pulp Podcast is brought to you in association with Autonomous Productions, which is Syracuse University's premier and only student-run film production company. We just make fun movies and try to make an environment where everyone can come and to make those movies.
Yeah, and we'll host some of them on the podcast just to talk about them.
Most certainly.
Just got to do those shameless plugs. Actually, no shame.
There's
literally
no
shame, just a plug.
Yes, of course. But now that we're chit-chatting about movies, let's fully get into it. We just came back from winter break, and so we've had a lot of time to watch movies. We've been watching movies since we've been back to. So what have you been up to? Like, what has been like your favorite thing that you've seen as of recently?
Yeah, so I as being like a movie watcher nerd, I keep a list of all the crap I see. And at one point, it was really nice to decompress. I was able to just relax a lot of time.
Got to take a breather.
Yeah, and so like for the first 3 weeks of January, I was going on like a movie a day.
Oh wow,
like,
really?
I was really like going on a movie a day because I'd always have like 2 hours or so because when I say like, oh my gosh, I watched a movie today, it's like, geez, you watch like 2.5 hours to 3 hours every day. It's like, well, no, there are like 90-minute movies. Some are like 80 minutes.
That's true.
It depends on what I watch. Like, and it's like a variety of stuff. But one thing it was the first movie I watched as part of the new year. I was like, New Year's Day, right as midnight struck, and I'm like, what do I want to do? You know what? Screw it. Watch a movie. Let's do it. So I decided to watch, and I think we're going to talk about this later because it is getting some awards buzz. So.
Whoa.
Yeah. So The Lost Daughter. Have you heard about it?
I have not. I've actually not heard of this movie.
No, it's good. So Maggie Gyllenhaal directed it.
Oh, really?
Like Jake Gyllenhaal's sister. She was in The Dark Knight as well. But yeah, it's her first it's her directorial debut, and it has got Olivia Colman.
I have heard of this movie.
Yeah,
I know nothing about it though.
Dakota Johnson, Jesse Buckley. It's a star-studded cast. Also, Ed Harris is in it as a side character. It's about like this college professor who goes to Italy for a break, like during an academic break. Funny enough.
Yeah.
And
timely.
Yeah, and so she runs into this couple, or not couple, a mom and a daughter, and the daughter goes missing for a bit, and it starts bringing back kind of visions of her own past, and I don't want to spoil it because there is kind of like a twist to it, but the film gets you hooked immediately. It kind of drops you in at like the climax at first, and you're like, whoa, what just happened? Like, this is crazy. And you kind of have to build your way back through it, and it keeps you invested, but the story keeps you going. It's super interesting, but then it really starts to be like, wow, that was really painful. Like, that really, like, you feel for the character. Like, you think it's going to be like some form of thriller, but it becomes more of like a family drama more so. But it it blends well together. Like, it has good thriller aspects, but it doesn't rely on them fully as it moves into being like a family drama. And at the end, you realize the mom's nightmare, or visions of the past, basically nightmares, are like less so about just not really like just remorse, but more guilt. and it's like, oh no, like you're like, oh my gosh, she did that. It's like, yeah. So it was really well done. It's beautifully shot. I just love it's Italy beach aesthetic as well. It's really cool, and the music's fantastic, and the color scheme in it is really cool. Like the person who shot it, like has shot in Italy before, and I've seen it, like the cinematographer. I think her name is Helene Louvart. Sorry if I'm butchering a French name, but yeah, she has made these shot these beautiful like movies in Italy before, and they're always with beautiful Italian beaches or countryside. So it really adds another element to a really, really good movie.
That's sick. That's cool.
Yeah.
You said that it started at the climax of the movie.
Yeah,
is that so? It's one of the movies that's like, oh, in like 2 weeks earlier or something like that.
Yeah, but it goes back, or not even 2 weeks early. It's like
yeah, sorry, that was just a random time I pulled out.
Yeah, it's like a few the days before.
Got you.
But then and in those days before, it jumps into the like 20 years into the past.
Oh,
so like
okay.
Olivia,
so it's like
Olivia Colman and Jessie Buckley play the same character. Like
okay.
Yeah, you know Jessie Buckley?
I do not know who that is.
She's a relatively new actress. She was in like a movie called I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen that movie, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, she's the lead in that.
Okay,
and
gotcha.
She's now becoming like kind of a star, and so her and Olivia Colman play the same character. Jessie's the younger, Olivia's the older, and it's really good. It's really powerful.
That's so interesting. I'll have to check it out then.
It was incredible, Maggie Gyllenhaal, like because she was already a great actress as it is.
Yeah.
But great directorial debut.
That's sick.
Yeah.
So this whole like time going back, like non-linear storytelling thing has been like huge. Recently.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I like it. I generally like it. There's sometimes where it holds a movie back, in my opinion. Or I think Eternals, like that jumping back.
That was one of the things I was thinking about.
Yeah. Most recently, Eternals, like one of my biggest problems with it was the jumping back really killed, at least in my mind, the narrative momentum of the present story.
No, I agree.
It just ruined. It was one of the reasons I didn't like Eternals.
No, I agree. I definitely think that with Eternals, it feels like it really like used those flashbacks not to like further characters or further like or interest in the drama. It was to explain stuff to us.
Yeah.
It felt like it was just like full exposition.
Yeah.
It was never like actually a part of the movie was like, oh, I guess we need to explain how this thing works now.
And the difference with this was the Lost Daughters, like flashbacks. They were a crucial, integral part of the story. They weren't exposition, and they were more to serve as like, oh my, like kind of like a twist. Like it's sort of a twist, but it's also like you think she did this one thing, but she actually did like it was another thing that was kind of pretty dark. And it's like, wow, it shows she's living with that for the rest of her life. But yeah,
got you. I mean, the whole trend itself is something that I have like mixed feelings about. Like some of my favorite media.
Yeah.
Like I love the show This Is Us. That does that like in spades. It kind of does the thing that you're talking about. Where it's like it makes you think that one thing's about to happen, but really like because of how they're telling the story, like it reveals to be like this other like crazier thing that happens. But the movie that I recently watched that did that I disliked was The Last Duel. Have you seen it?
What? You didn't like that?
No. Oh, do you like The Last Duel?
Loved it.
Oh,
I loved it.
I have so many issues with The Last Duel.
Let's do it.
All right, so let's get like the non-story stuff out of the way.
Okay.
I think it's so boringly shot. Besides like the last fight, I think the last fight's interesting.
Oh, it's sick.
But like besides that, it's all like a bunch of like mediums and close-ups. And I just don't feel like they were very interesting at all. I thought the coloring was boring as well. But getting into the actual story, I feel like in like on paper, the idea of telling the story from 3 different perspectives is interesting. It can like give a lot of narrative depth, but it really just felt like a waste of time from my perspective. Like I always kind of knew, I forget what the woman's name is. Margaret? Marguerite, you're so right. Marguerite. Yeah. I kept expecting, like I always knew that is this a spoiler? I don't know if I'm spoiling it. I feel like the marketing's pretty obvious, and especially like because of like the subject matter.
It's a duel between 2 dudes over a woman. One of them's probably gonna win. Spoiler.
No, I mean even more than that, just like the implications of like the sexual assault that happens in it. Like I feel like you can figure out what's going to happen. You can figure out what like points they're going to make throughout the narrative. And obviously I think they're very important points to make. And I think that like it is sort of revealing about like the influence of a man and what like and how far men can get with just being men and just being trustworthy and how like, you know, a woman's point of view is inherently going to be doubted. And I think it showcases that, but it really just feels like a waste of time. And I feel like going back, I never gained more insight into a situation that like ever like truly changed. Like they had like small moments, like do you remember like the kiss on the kiss on the lips between Adam Driver and her, like that changes in each of the takes, which is interesting, but it was never like large enough for me to be like, yeah, that was worth it.
So like the little details like that change throughout the stories, because there is like who shook hit like when when Adam Driver and Matt Damon came to the party together. Each of their separate stories had them being the noble one to shake the hand and the other being reluctant jerk. Like those little details I like a lot, and I just like it added to, at least for me, it added to just the subjectiveness of it. And then it went and it was not very subtle about being like Marguerite's truth being the truth as it held on.
It literally tells you it's the truth.
The subtlety in it's not really subtle, and that could be a fair criticism. But no, I thought it was very interesting. Just those little the little changes that they made throughout in each of those stories added like to build like, okay, which ones actually like really like these two men are really have such high opinions of themselves. They think they're these noble people that the rest of the world's out to get them, and now there's like, or this woman or my wife is like, what's going on here? I'm gonna be the noble one here. And I think Marguerite's section, Marguerite's truth, really strips that away to really show that these people were generally scumbags. And weren't really, even the victor, he was treated as a victor, he was a winner, and Marguerite, even though she survived, you could kind of tell she's just like, he's basking in this glory. It's like this is kind of nonsense.
And I think like when you touch upon that, like you make a good point. I do think the characters are interesting, and I think that their like motivations and their flaws and whatnot are like really well established and very clear, and it kind of like immediately like gets you not on the side necessarily, but you're like, I get it, like I understand what's happening from your point of view, from your perspective.
No, because the movie starts, you're like, okay, you're on Matt Damon's side, then you're like, then the second part, it's like, are you? Like Ben Affleck seems much cooler in the second part. Matt Damon looks like a fool most of the time. It's like, who do you believe in that point? But it's like maybe it's, and then the third's kind of this gray, muddled area where it's like he is a jerk a lot of the time. He's still trying to defend her honor, but does that make him like a good person?
Is it truly honorable what he's doing?
Is it truly honorable, or is he doing it just for ego? And that's eventually, and I think she gets vindicated then, because he kind of just like, he dies 2 years later, so it's like heroic ending, not really, and she gets a heroic ending in terms of just being a mother to the child, which I thought was nice. And also, so it depends like on that form of storytelling. If you're not behind all for that, then like chances are it probably won't be like that, like your type of movie you'll enjoy. So it's not unfair. Like I know people who like, because it's like based off of, I know it was based off, like I watched it's called a movie called Rashomon. Like it's a like 1950s Japanese movie where like the film is told in like 3 separate stories about like a thief and a couple, like what happened in that story. Like, one time the thieves were cowards, the other time the couple were cowards, that sort of thing. And so that became like the Rashomon effect, where it would be like you would tell a story from 3 like kind of different perspectives, and that would be the movie. And that The Last Duel is heavily inspired in that way, in the terms of story structure.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not even like that bothered by the structure of the story itself. It's just, I don't think that the structure served the story well.
Really?
Yeah, I just don't think that. Like, I think in having that kind of structure, you like give a promise, and I at least personally do not feel like it fulfilled that promise for me. I didn't feel like because what I really wanted was to always be switching my opinions and always be in doubt about what was happening, and I was never ever in doubt, besides on like Matt Damon's character. Like that's very clearly like, you know, one story he's one way, the second story he's like a whole other way.
I think that put it like, I think it does for me, and that's just for me. I put in doubt like because at first I was like, Matt Damon seems cool, and I'm like, wait, Driver seems a little cooler. And then
No, see,
no,
I
it's
never
like,
liked Adam Driver in it.
Really?
I was always like, yeah, this dude's scummy.
no, yeah, fair, but
I could also see like, and there's also like a lot of scenes that like are setting up things
Yeah.
that are to happen. I'm like, okay, like I see
Yeah.
what you're doing.
yeah, no, that's fair. It again, I think it's super dependent on whether the story structure is really like, because it's not for everyone. Like that's
Yeah.
like and it's totally fine. It's just you just kind of like, it's to each his own, if you will.
No, for sure.
And that's spoiler alert for anyone of this podcast. I'm a huge to each their own. So I'm very like, I'll be really like, it's okay. Oh, to each your own, I suppose.
No,
So,
I mean that's a good quality. I'm very bad at ending like debates, arguments, whatever. Because I will just go on
Yeah.
for days and days if no one stops me.
yeah.
It frequently ends in people. This is so bad to admit. It frequently ends in people being like, "You won, Josh. Is that okay? Like is that what you want to hear?" And I'm like, "No, that's not what I wanted. That was not the point."
Oh, that's funny.
But it always makes me feel like it always like makes you feel like you lost in that moment.
That's how
when
they're getting you, Josh.
it's the psychological tricks right there. To here, and I'll give a movie that I liked, and then because I want to I want to hear like about a TV show or anything else from you.
Sure.
The movie that I did really enjoy, which is also getting some awards buzz, is Coda.
Real.
Have you seen Coda?
I need to see it. I've seen the trailers for it.
I think it's so good. It's a very formulaic movie. You know, it's like kind of like your typical like coming of age tale with all like the wacky teacher trope and the weird like love connection kind of trope. But like it's all under the novelty of, not to call it a novelty because that sounds like demeaning towards it. But like it's done from a different perspective of you know this girl who is the only hearing person in her family. Anyway, I just think that it does a lot of very interesting things with its concept, and I think that it totally refreshes the standard coming of age teen drama kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I saw a lot of trailers for it in movie theaters. I was like, oh, this seems extremely interesting, and I'm fascinated by it because like a lot of films with like just disabilities or just like they're not as many. Yeah. But the ones that are out there are like, oh boy, they are like really like, they're powerful.
For sure.
They're ones that like are interesting, like, and they make me feel like, gee, like it makes me feel different about like just the world, the way the world works in general.
No, for sure. And I think this movie is really interesting in that because I feel like, for a lot of movies that discuss disabilities, you expect the person with a disability to be like the main character. Yeah. Sort of like a Sound of Metal kind of thing. But this one, it's like the main character is the person who hears. Yeah. And it's so much more, it's a very nuanced take about what it feels like to live that life because obviously she has problems, with her experience. Like things are hard for her, but things are also hard for her family. And the movie does a really good job of tackling both of those and giving those equal weight and never making it seem like one person's struggle is less than the others. Yeah. Because then I think at that point you get into kind of like problematic territory.
Yeah. What's fascinating about stories like that is just like you can have a formulaic story for something that hasn't really been touched by the formula. Yeah. Like if you have a story like that about like disabilities, it might be a little formulaic, but the fact that it's happening and like it can still offer a nuanced perspective, even if the story structure is a little just simple. Yeah, that's fine. Exactly, and it's gonna be good. It's gonna the topic that you're talking about and the themes you want to approach in that will elevate it. Like, at least in my opinion.
No, I totally agree with you. It refreshes it. And like also like the writing is so good. It's really funny. Oh, and like the performances are great too because sign language is like a very what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, you have to give a lot of expressions when you do it. You have to express yourself, otherwise, like a lot of the meaning is lost there. Yeah. It's sort of like when we text over people, and like if you don't have an emoji, you're not very clear about what you mean. Like the meaning's gonna get lost, the actors who are signing in the movie, they're so expressive. That's the word. I almost said expressionate. They're so expressive, and they're just very like forthcoming, and all of it plays very, very well.
Yeah. You want to? We gonna do one more for me?
Yeah, share one more.
All right, sure. So what I do as well, I cite the film magazine Sight and Sound. It's a British film magazine. They do like a top 50 movies every year, and I'm always fascinated to see what I've watched, see what I will watch. Yeah. And one of them, and a lot of them, like a lot of them were British films. It's like, weird. A British film magazine promoting British films. Weird. One of them was a horror movie, though. It's like, because horror movies generally, like, when you put, like, top 10, 50 movie lists together, you don't get many horror movies, which sucks, but it's fair because a lot of horror movies are inherently terrible or very shallow in terms of storytelling. There are some that are not, but... this one I was fascinated to try to watch. It was called Censor. It was about took place in the 80s in Britain, like Margaret Thatcher era, conservative era.
I just watched The Crown, so that's funny.
And it's about like this British film censor, like cutting out all the violence in movies, like a lot of gore or guts. But there was one film that was like, it made her think, like, because she had like a sister that disappeared. She's like, this is the film, like I can know it, like I can find my sister, and she kind of starts to lose her mind a bit out, like just bringing up like repressed memories of her sister, her lost sister. Boy, lost like family members.
Apparently,
for me today. I don't know what that says, but it was really unsettling at times because it would change. Like it would be normally shot.
So sorry.
And it would be normally shot at times, but then it would go into like cram together as 80s and try to be like like quiet and stuff, and it would just be like, that would be unsettling when it changes film like that, or like it's like analog, like shot on analog. Like it scares me really.
Wait, it was sorry, I like it like switches.
It switches dimensions. It switches like the sound quality, like it was from the 80s.
Oh, that's really interesting.
And that's when like the really scary moments. There was a jump scare, and I'm not gonna say when if you watch, because I don't want to spoil it when the jump scare is. But there was one that I'm usually pretty good about jump scares. Like I don't get scared very much, but that one really was like, jeez. Like I was like, whoa. I was trying to do it for the camera. I was trying to like jump, but I didn't jump at all. But that's okay. No, but it was really scary times. However, there were other times where I was just like in the film where it was like a little boring. Like it was a little drawn out, and the story wasn't all that fascinating. I think the jump to insanity was a little rushed in my opinion. It wasn't really like, it wasn't built well enough, just in my own eyes. But yeah, it was scary at times, and so it was able to lean on that, so it made it just like a okay film for me. Whereas like this was scary. Like there were points where I was genuinely terrified, because it also, there's like these, I don't know how much you're on YouTube a lot.
Oh, I'm on YouTube all the time. It's
but
really
there's
bad.
like, there's a specific sect of YouTube. It's called like, it's a new genre essentially. It's fascinating, and it kind of reminded me of, it's called like analog horror, where they use like analog like technology to make like really scary stories, like
interesting,
and really tell like stories about family loss, like just
as in they set the movie in that time period.
It's not
or
really
do they film it.
It's like they're like some of those are like 10 minutes long. Like they're like it's like part 3. Like it's like 10 minutes long.
Okay.
And they include analog horror. It's like the sound design's terrifying. Like the visuals are obviously disgusting and horrifying to look at. The stories, when you start to piece them together, are really sad. And it's like, I felt some sort of vibes from that, just a little bit. Yeah. I don't know if there's any analog horror fans out there, they're like, Henry, you idiot. They have nothing to do together. But no, they're really scary, and it kind of reminded me of that, because so it's just like, once you do like start putting like weird like creepy stuff in like analog, that will get me really scared.
No, that makes sense. I mean, just like, I feel like even just like the power of the internet and like technology like really limits like what kind of stories, horror stories you can tell in this day and age.
But there are some incredible like filmmakers out there, just like that are really just like creating terrifying, scary stuff. Like some of those, like those, like, you know, those, like there's some series, like there are a couple series, and they're scarier than most horror films I see.
That's so interesting.
Like they're like terrifying.
You'll have to send me some of them.
Yeah, you can watch it. You might be like, Henry, what the hell did you send me? And you probably be like,
because of how scary it is.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm
so interesting.
Hyping it up. You know what? I'll say it. The Walton Files. Anyone looks up the Walton Files and scared and loses sleep, I apologize. Like, it's really scary. If that's not your thing, if it's like horror, disgusting horror like that isn't your thing, please don't watch it. But if you are up for it, sorry in advance that you lose sleep.
That's so interesting. I feel like I very rarely hear about horror movies that are supposed to be like really good.
Yeah.
You know, it's like once I guess
like,
Jordan Peele got like a whole bunch of buzz, but like that's about it.
You get Hereditary, Midsummer.
Yeah.
That's when you got like Ari Aster comes in. I love Ari Aster, by the way. Like he's so good. But you get that, but then there's just a wave, an ocean of bad horror movies,
or just like meh, generic,
which is what I felt about Censor.
Yeah.
It really felt like at times it was just kind of a generic horror movie, but it was able to separate itself.
That's good.
I think.
That's cool, and especially with the aspect ratio thing, that's been happening a lot recently too. Everyone's been playing with that.
Yeah, doing that with horror movies, I think is like
that sounds cool.
Underutilized.
I didn't even think about and even if you like I don't know like what it switched to, but if it started as like 16:9 and it switched to 4:3, like you lose information.
Yeah, you do
at a certain point.
It kind of does. It does that, especially at the end when things start to go off the rails. It like it goes like 16:9, then it's like
switching
It switches constantly and
it
goes back and forward. It's so crazy.
That's so interesting.
So that's what kind of made it cool at the end.
Yeah.
But, so
I definitely feel like whenever horror movies can play, I mean, as someone who doesn't watch all that many horror movies, when horror movies can play with like movie conventions to increase their horror, I like the Invisible Man is what I think about.
Yeah.
Like I think just the way that like they shot it, and they shoot it as if there's someone there, but like there's nothing there, and you're like,
is there something there?
Is there something there? I have no idea.
I heard about The Invisible Man and was held off on watching because like this is gonna be a horrible remake. And then I watched it in the morning. I'll watch movies in the morning, by the way. I'm not ashamed of that. And I was like, wow, that was way better than I would ever thought. Like that really knocked it out of the park. That's another Henry O'Brien recommendation.
There you go. No, that one really surprised me. And like Elizabeth Moss, that's her name, right?
Fantastic.
She's really good in it.
Fantastic.
No, that movie like hits on a lot of cylinders. I think the end is a little kind of forgettable. I don't really remember much of the end.
Fair enough. But I like it. I thought the end was good.
But yeah.
That's me.
Also, not to get my third movie.
That's fine.
But I would feel really bad if I didn't mention Spider-Man. Did you see No Way Home?
Yeah, I did.
Because I'm wearing my Spider-Man shirt today. Love Spider-Man. Yeah. I feel like I have to at least ask you. We don't have to talk about it.
Yeah,
especially,
fair enough.
I mean, they've been kind of open about spoilers and what happens, but we don't have to get into any of that. I just want to know, like, what did you think? What were your vibes?
I was worried at first that it was because what has killed both of the Spider-Man, like, franchises beforehand with Garfield and Maguire is that they in the final movie in both of those series they had way too much going on, way too like Spider-Man 3 it was cheesy, it was bad. Maguire at that point was like the Maguire charm was gone. James Franco was just like, what are you doing? And there were like 3 separate villains and multiple different storylines that I did not care about in Spider-Man 3, and I loved the first 2 with Tobey Maguire. Like they were interesting, they were fun. But the third one, no. And then with Amazing Spider-Man 2, Garfield just couldn't like get anything going. Like he really just like he went from being like a stuttering weirdo in the first one to more being a stalking weirdo. And like the relationship, like it was sad at the end when Emma Stone went snap, and
that's a way of putting it.
Yeah, it was emotional, but it was like. Their relationship, I didn't think was that deep or well built. And again, there were 3 villains in it, and they were trying to set up a Spider-Man universe, and it was like that failed miserably. And I had a bad feeling that was going to happen. But you know what? Marvel again surprises me. I don't know how they can, but they did, where they actually pulled it off very well. I think they struck a perfect balance. I loved the references to the movies, the references to the memes. There were a lot of Spider-Man meme references.
There's a lot that happens in that film.
Yeah, a lot happens, but it never felt overwhelming. It's the same thing with Infinity War, where I thought there might be a little too much going on. I would be overwhelmed, but I never was. Yeah. I always was like invested in a good like way.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
I hate to be the Debbie Downer of the podcast again. I was not into it. I mean,
wow,
rather. Okay, hold on.
And you're the Spider-Man fan.
Let me back up. Yeah, it's kind of one of my big personality traits since being at college. Everyone's like, yeah, Josh likes Spider-Man. Yeah. Which is like something that was unintentional, but like I'm totally down for it. Love Spider-Man.
Yeah. What was your biggest problem with it?
So I will say I love all of the references and all of the like all that kind of stuff that happens.
Yeah.
Big sucker for it.
Yeah.
But I did feel like the movie at certain points over relied on its nostalgia factor, and like I felt like it lost a lot of its narrative drive because it was so like constrained to like being like, oh, we have to get all these references and get everything that people like want to hear and whatnot. Like there's I don't know what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not allowed to say. I don't know. There are just a couple moments where I'm like, this moment is purely happening.
Is it with great power comes great responsibility?
No, that one was also that bothered me as well.
Yeah,
but not that.
Yeah.
The scene about back cracking.
Oh, back cracking.
The
really?
back cracking.
I thought that was funny.
Like I thought it was funny too, and I really enjoyed it. But at some point, I was like, why is this happening? Like this is purely a reference for the sake of a reference, and it is in no way like building up these characters or the relationship. And it just felt, and like even like the immediate plot where they're like, we have to go round up the baddies. It just feels really basic and really simple.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And there are a couple of things that just happen. I'm like, oh, so like what happens with Ned?
Yeah.
And him being able to do the stuff that he does.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is that? Why is that a thing?
Yeah.
Like it feels very like a lot of it felt very contrived.
Yeah.
To me, but also like I loved all of the crazy things that happens throughout the movie, and like I screamed. I was because I went on opening day in like an RPX theater.
Of course you did.
And so I was screaming my head off at everything.
Yeah.
And I've rewatched a whole bunch of the clips too online and whatnot. But I just feel like it lost a lot, but it also does a lot narratively, especially like for Peter's character, and they kind of like strip him back to what a lot of people have been like clamoring for, because people want more consequences for Peter Parker, and they really want him to be more grounded, to be his own separate character, which I think this movie does like a lot. Like it definitely works on that in creating a new vibe for the MCU Peter. Yeah. But yeah, I just felt like a lot of the dramatic stakes were lost for me in all of the nostalgia stuff that was happening.
That's fair. That's not unfair. I was there for all the nostalgia stuff. Some of the references were probably just there just to make them. Yeah. And they weren't there to add anything to the story. But I still thought Peter's growth as a character and was interesting enough for a Marvel movie. Yeah. It was good enough where it was like, I was fine with this. Because a lot of Marvel movies are just becoming formulaic at this point where I'm just like, I don't feel anything after this. I'm like, this was fun, but it's like, I'm not really feeling much. But I felt a little bit for Spider-Man at the end of that.
And you know, I think I agree with you on that front. I've been very disappointed by Phase 4's content just in general. Yeah. I've liked some of it, but not all of it. Yeah. But I will say on a character perspective, which is what I've always thought that Marvel did best. Yeah. They did a really good job with him, and I really appreciate what his ending is. Yeah. Even if I have some gripes with the way that we got there.
Fair enough.
Anyway. Yeah. I think unless Chris, you had any other movies you wanted to share, I think
I'm good.
I think we're good to segue non-subtly into our next subject.
Yeah. We were going to talk about the awards because we're starting to get into award season because the guild, the directors, producers, screen actors, writers guild are all having their awards soon. And those, because I'm not, well, hopefully my mom isn't watching, but that's what I generally use to pick my Academy Awards because me and my mom do an Academy Award ballot every year.
Oh, really?
I've won every year for the past 6 years now.
And you're revealing your secrets now.
Yeah, I'm revealing my secrets.
You might be killing your streak, dude.
I might be.
You gotta be careful with that.
I might be killing my streak, but you know what? I feel I'm confident in my ability to win still.
Wait, do you have guesses already?
No, not yet.
Okay.
It's really after the
guild. Because it is early.
After the guild awards, I'm like, okay, this is what they're probably thinking because it's the same voter base of people, and it's also just important for me, like. I was upset Producers Guild picked Green Book to win Best Picture, and that's what won Best Picture. Yeah. It's like, how is this the Best Picture? This is not good. This is like every other movie in the Best Picture nominees are better than Green Book. It's just I could go on about it. That will be saved for another episode where I'm gonna be just going off on Green Book.
We'll have a Henry Unhinged episode.
Henry Unhinged on Green Book, and most of it's going to be on Viggo Mortensen. Anyway, they're the Producers Guild, which is really predictive of the Best Picture. A lot of films some of the films we were talking about, even off camera. But Yeah, there's Licorice Pizza, if you saw that.
I have not seen that
it's
yet.
so good.
I'm so far behind on all the
Yeah.
movies, which we can talk about in a second. But go ahead.
Here, I'll go through them. The Producers Guild for Best Picture. There's Being the Ricardos, Belfast, Coda. There you go.
There we go.
Don't Look Up, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, The Power of the Dog, Tick Tick Boom, and West Side Story.
I think I've seen 3 of those movies.
You saw Coda.
I've seen Coda. Do you want to guess one?
Okay, Tick Tick Boom.
No, I have not seen Tick Tick
Really?
Boom. It's on the list.
Dune.
No, I have not seen.
You've
Dune.
not seen Dune?
I'm so mad. I was
What?
I was gonna watch it on HBO Max, but then realized it was like taken off like the day before
Whack.
or after,
Whack.
and so I just haven't had a chance to watch it.
West Side Story. No. Okay. You said Power of the
This
Dog.
game.
You said Power.
Yeah, I have seen Power of the Dog.
You've seen Power of the Dog, and then what? Don't Look Up.
No. Oh, I've seen Don't Look Up, and I've seen Being the Ricardos.
Oh, okay. How was Being the Ricardos? I've not heard much about it. I know the characters and what's it about, but
Yeah.
like, I haven't heard any actual any of my friends have watched it.
So
You're a friend, Josh.
thank you. You're invited to Henry.
There you go.
So I don't really have too much connection to I Love Lucy proper, which I definitely think has like shaped a lot of the public opinion of that movie. I've seen a lot of people complaining about the performances, and being like they don't match. What's his name? Ricky.
Yeah.
And Lucy.
Yeah.
But I thought they were really interesting.
Yeah.
I thought that Javier Bardem and
Love Javier Bardem. He's so good.
how am I dropping her name?
Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman.
She's great too.
I thought they both did excellent
Yeah.
in the movie. I thought their chemistry, their charm, whatnot, was like on point the entire time. I do have some issues with the character development. I feel like most of the characters were pretty one-dimensional throughout. They had like their one issue, their one complaint, their one problem, and like for the whole 2 hours, that was their one problem, and that was all that happened.
Yeah, because I know Being the Ricardos is getting Writers Guild as well because it's Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah, it's Aaron Sorkin, and like the Sorkin charm is there. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. Yeah, the Sorkin charm, I would imagine is there. Like it's Aaron Sorkin, Syracuse alum, by the way. Shout out to Aaron Sorkin. But no, yeah, it's interesting because sometimes his characters can be a little one-dimensional. At least in the film, like in some of the film, like a lot of films I've seen from him, they can be, but others are not.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's very because I think like his characters in West Wing, I think they're all very interesting. I think they're obviously like all of them are kind of similar. That's one thing about Sorkin's writing that's kind of hard. Like I feel like everyone is kind of the same. Everyone speaks the same way because that's his style.
Oh, everyone's quippy. Everyone's snappy.
Yeah, but that I can get over. I can't get over characters not becoming more interesting as the film goes, and the actual like conflict never evolving.
Really,
because that's what really held it back. It felt like the movie started and this was the problem. Halfway through, it was the same problem and nothing had changed about it. And at the very end, like it changes a little bit, and then it gets, in my opinion, unresolved. Yeah. Or sorry, resolved in an unsatisfying fashion. Yeah. But yeah, it is funny, and like I think some of the they do this interesting thing with how Lucy like pictures episodes. Yeah. It kind of alludes to just the kind of like genius that she was when it came to media, and it's really cool to see it like function that way. Yeah. But just like beyond that, and like also the cinematography wasn't all that interesting. It was very flat, very generic, very like repetitive. Yeah. Which I think was probably a COVID thing. Yeah. Probably. But nonetheless, it was still kind of like flat and uninteresting visually. But it is an enjoyable time. I just wouldn't necessarily be like, you have to go watch it, or that it's the best thing ever.
So I've seen Dune, I've seen Don't Look Up, I've seen Licorice Pizza, I've seen The Power of the Dog, and that's it. Okay. I loved Licorice Pizza so much.
I've been so excited to see that movie. It looks really interesting.
There are some things that I'm like, dude, you have to put it in there. Some things with Asian characters, I'm like, really? But that was more. It was like trying to show how stupid like white people were in the 70s, like when it came to race, but it's still like you didn't have to include that.
Did it just come off as like gratuitous at a certain point?
It did a bit. I was like, you don't have to include that. I mean, you're making fun of white people, which is like that's the joke. The joke people were laughing not like by the Asian character, it was by the white person being an absolute just idiot when it comes to talking to Asian people, but. It was problematic for some people, and that's fair. It's fair. It's also like you don't have to include that, and also the dynamic because the two characters are 10 years apart, and one of them's a 15.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, one of them's a 15-year-old, and one's a 25-year-old, and that's age difference between the actors too. It's because it's Alana Haim from Haim.
Yeah,
and
it's not 15 and 25 though. It's
like 30 and 18.
Okay. Oh wow,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Interesting.
It is crazy.
I did not realize that she was that old.
Yeah, exactly.
She does like
right.
from just like looking at the poster, she doesn't look.
Yeah, she looks like a
pretty
high
young.
schooler.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah. So if you're not comfortable with that, then it probably won't be for you. But it's really funny, and it tells like a coming of age story in a very a way only Paul Thomas Anderson could.
Yeah.
Because he kind of is usually generally out there with the stories he tells. I'm all for them, and I always think it's definitely because I'm a huge PTA fan.
Yeah.
Like this is definitely his funniest film.
Oh,
ever.
really?
It's really funny. Like, and Bradley Cooper got nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And he's the best part of it. He is unbelievably hilarious in this. Like, it might be one of his, like, he's on screen for like 15 minutes. And he steals the show. And because, like, the film goes off into little vignettes. Like, one of them's with Sean Penn. Another is with Benny Safdie as, like, a politician. Then there's Bradley Cooper basically on coke the whole time. And he's just out of his mind. And it's the funniest part of the movie. Like, I was laughing. The whole Bradley Cooper scene, which comes near the end of the film, because it's just vignettes. It's not really, like it's the story builds on it. It's great because the story keeps building on itself, but then it goes off into these like little side stories. Like I alluded it to like the character, because the characters were still trying to find themselves, specifically Alana's character, also named Alana. It was basically her trying to because she's in Hollywood and stuff. She's like walking into a different movie theater of a different a different person's story, trying to find her own meaning in life.
Interesting.
Yeah, and eventually she finds like Gary, who's an 18-year-old like hustler. It's really good. It's beautifully shot. It's like Paul Thomas Anderson's from San Fernando Valley, and it's beautiful shots of of California in the 70s. Yeah. It's incredible. I'd love to hear what you'd have to say on it. So that movie, like, really, like, it's good.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about it when we watch it.
Yeah.
I think it's like, okay, I have to make more embarrassing film
fine.
kid
you're fine.
statements. I don't think I've ever seen a PTA film.
Oh my god,
I can't think of one that I've seen.
Okay, let's go through. I'll go through them with you. There's
it's gonna be so bad.
Part 8. No. You could just say no.
No.
Part 8.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. I forgot. I think it's from audio too.
Yeah.
No.
Boogie Nights.
No.
Magnolia.
No.
Punch Drunk Love.
No.
There Will Be Blood. No, really? Not There Will Be Blood?
I've heard of the vast majority of these movies.
Yeah.
But just have not gotten to any of them.
The Master.
No.
Inherent Vice.
No.
And last but not least, Phantom Thread. Damn.
This is so bad.
Come on, Josh.
This is so bad. It's I feel like having you on the show is only going to reveal more and more how little I know about, not how little I know about film. Because I think I have a good understanding of film itself, but it's just having seen a lot of other stuff I haven't gotten to.
It's an ocean. It's an ocean. So it's
it really is.
And
it keeps raining in this ocean.
Yeah, it keeps filling up. So like there's going to be such new stuff, like you'll miss like a whole film movement or something.
Literally.
It's like you lived through it. It's like, wait, I was alive then. This happened?
Yeah.
I missed all these movies. What the heck?
Yeah. But, and we were talking about this before the podcast started, and I feel like this is kind of like a soft segue into it.
Yeah.
There are a lot of these films that are getting all these like nomination buzz.
Yeah.
I've just straight up not heard of up until that. Like obviously, like I did hear about Licorice Pizza, I did hear about Tick Tick Boom.
Yeah.
But like I didn't know about Coda, didn't know about The Power of Dog.
Like the biggest movie from my guess, at least from Dune's probably going to be nominated for Best Picture. Yeah. But everyone knew that it was a big film.
Yeah, for sure.
Huge release.
Definitely.
Huge release. That's probably going to be the most well-known movie that comes out of this, because Marvel movies aren't going to be getting Best Picture ever, which for me, at least, I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that just because I don't think Marvel movies do, because I'm a movie fan. Yeah. I don't think and I like Marvel movies, but I don't think they deserve to be in the same breath as, say, something like Dune. That's also a big blockbuster, but has so much more complexity, more meaning. But again, to each their own. I
very much agree with you on that front. Like, love Marvel movies. Yeah. Again, personality trait of mine. Yeah. But like, they're just there's so many issues with them.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things I'm like, yeah, like this part's great, but like this part, it's okay.
Exactly.
But like it's okay because all this other, all the characters, all the action and whatnot are good. And I shouldn't. Go ahead.
And they don't deserve to be in like for Best Picture. Like what made a lot. Because some people are like, oh, it's all politics stuff. It's like, also, people just don't know these movies anymore, which is like something that they're going to either have to like promote them better because they're amazing movies. I'll watch all of them and they're incredible generally, except Green Book. And I'm like, guys, like these are great movies. Promote them more.
Yeah,
like
for
get
sure.
them out there.
Yeah.
Like Marvel movies are great and people will show up to them. That's like, it's a good thing. It's a good thing that people want to watch those. But it's also like Blockbuster back in the day would be nominated for stuff like this, like Star Wars, because Star Wars like was incredible. It wasn't formulaic. It was inspired by things, but it was like its own thing. It was an incredible blockbuster that had it had a great story arc. It had great characters. It's a story arc that has inspired so many movies ahead of it.
Yeah.
But so many of these blockbusters are formulaic now, where it's like they're not even good because so many like sure there was a formula, but they were still like. The blockbusters were always like, wow, this is so new. This is so energetic. Like, this is like, it changed it.
Yeah.
Like Terminator, for example, or Titanic. Like, they were blockbusters, but they had a lasting impact.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi's not going to, like, it's important for Asian characters and whatnot. I'm just thinking from the last year or so.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like, Black Widow, Shang-Chi, they're important in terms of diversity, but they're still a formulaic Marvel movie. Like, they're still going to be, like, they're just being produced in a factory. Like that's I think it's a fair criticism, but it's also, it's okay that people watch them, but like to say they're in the same breath as like, they're still movies. They're both cinema.
Yeah.
They're both cinema. Make that clear. They're both cinema. But
take that, Martin.
Yeah. But I don't think like when it comes to say the best picture, I can't, and like I wouldn't be able to put them in there because they're just like, it's about as produced as say this computer. Like it's like feels like it's coming right out of an assembly line.
Yeah, no.
And so I can't put them in there, and that's like the tough balance you got to find of like blockbusters that actually can evoke like actually deep feelings for people. And it's like that's a tough thing that'll have to be done through discourse. That'll be done through mostly people with the money. Yeah.
I mean, I agree with you, and I definitely think that these like Marvel, Star Wars, like those kind of blockbuster films have the potential to be,
they all do,
in the same league. But as of right now, I think they're just so focused on coming up with sequels and setting up plans, and just like everything else like outside of the movie. You know what I mean? Like and having to build towards
setting up
Avengers
the universe.
Exactly, and there's just so much that they are doing that it strips them a little bit of them just being movies, because they're no longer just contained to that 2 hours that you're watching them. It's a whole like community. It's a whole conversation.
And some of the best of Marvel movies have been kind of standalone and kind of broken the mold. Like Iron Man was like I want to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative, but like it was still at that point it was just Iron Man. It was like, who knew Iron Man could be so cool?
Literally,
like
the Guardians too.
Like Guardians too. Like they brought up the Infinity Stones, but we're like, okay, that's not the Avengers problem yet. So it kind of felt like it was his own thing.
Literally,
like it felt like it was his own thing, and it was fresh and it was funny. And then there was why am I blanking on this? Black Panther. Black Panther was its own thing. Like it barely brought up the Avengers at all. Like it was its own thing, and it was so important for a number of reasons.
No, for sure.
But that's why one reason it got nominated is how important it was like for a lot of things like within the film itself and just within like superhero films and just the nuance it brought to Marvel movies.
For sure, it's definitely one of the more like thematic focused films, and the one that like actually like tries to have an argument with its main character.
Yeah, I think it is the most out of all the Marvel movies and out of any superhero movie so far. Like it's probably most thematic, and I think that's what Marvel movies can be.
Yeah,
but they never are.
Yeah,
they're always just the same. They're stale.
Again, it's because they're all or most of them are made as a plan to make future ones, and like I also feel like to some extent a lot of the characters feel like they're not allowed to grow up and to change that much over the course of their film. Like like, I mean, I can go into a huge argument about like why Tony Stark changes throughout the entire run of the Infinity Saga, but still and we can get back to the, to the Academy in a second, or to nominations in a second. But like to some extent he's always kind of just Tony, and he's always acted the way that he acts, which it's good, consistency for his character, but like they're never giving him large enough challenges so that when he comes out of them you feel like things have changed. It's almost as if like a resetting of status quo, so that in case you miss this one and you go watch Avengers, you'll still like you'll still understand it, you'll still get it. Which is kind of upsetting. I wish that they would take bigger swings.
And if they do, like in terms of just themes, in terms of story, then they will get nominated. Like Black Panther got nominated, and I was like, you know what, that's fair. You know what, it's fine. I'm
still kind of iffy on Black Panther getting nominated.
I'm fine with it. I was happy with it. Like, there were parts of the movie, it's like, okay, this was still a Marvel movie at this point. It's still going to be like, okay.
What are those? That line
what's that one line? But that's what's the problem with it's just like, they're just not known. It sucks, because like, The Lost Daughter, if it gets nominated, hopefully it does. Hopefully. I really liked it, so... Or Licorice Pizza, like those movies were incredible. Like they were incredible, and they told powerful stories. And it's like, why not? Like they should be out there more.
No, I agree.
Should watch them more. But it's everyone has their own opinion.
It's going to come down to money. It's going to come down to market. I mean, Licorice Pizza had a lot of marketing.
Pretty large.
But like
PTA has his group of people. Me. A person like me will go to see his movies in a heartbeat. Like that's probably the biggest thing with the Guild Awards. I will say one more thing. About the
of course.
Jared Leto. Can I go on a rant for a second?
About Jared Leto?
Yeah, about Jared Leto.
Go ahead.
So I watched House of Gucci, which is also the same guy who directed The Last Duel. So
okay.
House of Gucci, and Ridley Scott did Last Duel and House of Gucci in the same year. I didn't
realize that Ridley Scott did House of Gucci.
Yeah, he did House of Gucci, and that movie stunk. That was not good. I'm sorry. I didn't think it was very good. Adam Driver was completely wasted. Lady Gaga was good.
Yeah.
But then the side characters, how Jared Leto gets Best Supporting Actor nominations beyond me, because he's literally doing an Italian impersonation. He's like, hey, meatballs. It's like he's trying to be as like an Italian stereotype as he possibly could be, and it just comes off like I'm not gonna be offended by it. It just looks bad.
Yeah.
It looks like, and you're trying to like he's trying to be a little bit of comic relief. Yeah. Like in a kind, like it tries to be Succession, like a mix of drama and comedy, but it falls flat on its face. And Jared Leto's a big reason why, because the comedy just comes off as like stupid.
Yeah.
It looks like something that's like even at like Adam Sandler's worst.
Yeah.
And it's like, and you're trying to mix it in with like tired themes of power. It's just like power and control and family. It's like, this is just tired. Like this is like you're trying to do what Succession's trying to do, and you're not, like, it's failing miserably. The characters are nowhere near as interesting, even for just one episode. Because a movie, you have to compress that stuff. Yeah. But the movie didn't do a good job of it, because other movies have done good jobs of doing it. Yeah. House Gucci did not, and Jared Leto, like, he was literally just like, hey, the whole time, like, he was just going around like being the big, like, stereotype. I keep saying it, but like, how do people think this is good? What do you think is good about it? Like, my roommate's from Italy. I mean, he found it hilarious and thinks it's funny, and will quote it a lot of the time. But like I asked him, but like, do you think it was actually good? He's like, no, of course not. It was ridiculous. It was so silly. It was so goofy. It was just, and that's like, it was trying to be funny, but it just came off as goofy. I
don't know if I've ever heard anyone say something nice about Jared Leto.
Okay, there are some Jared Leto movies, like movies with Jared Leto in them, that I like. Yeah, Suicide Squad's not one of them.
Suicide Squad is definitely not one of them.
Suicide Squad is definitely not one of them. He's great. Jared Leto was great in American Psycho. He was good in Fight Club, like good in supporting roles. Like
He's in Fight Club?
Oh yeah.
Why do I not remember?
Edward Norton beats the crap out of him. Near the end of the movie.
Really?
Yeah, he's
Where
like,
was I? Yeah. Oh my gosh, how did I?
Yeah, he kind of has like he's like, his hair is like what's it? It's like super blonde. Like it just. I
vaguely remember that now.
Yeah,
but I don't think I ever picked up that it was Jared Leto.
Yeah, no, but he's great in American Psycho in a very limited role. He does fantastic, like, because he's done a lot of interesting out there characters. But when he does like a Big Shot on Wall Street.
Yeah.
He's awesome in it. Like,
Yeah.
he really does a good job of it. And it's like, wow, this is the same guy that did the Joker doing kitty noises. It's like, wow, okay. Yeah, at least he has range. At least he has some acting range. But yeah, Jared Leto, like, he has some good movies, but boy, the movies that like he's bad in, they're bad.
Yeah. I want to hear what were your thoughts about Don't Look Up?
Don't Look Up. I was funny enough, my mom was asking me about it this morning.
Yeah.
I was like talking with her, and she was like, "Oh, it seemed great." It was really on the nose about being a climate change allegory.
For sure.
And I just didn't think it'd come off. It was trying to be like too smart for its own good. Like,
Okay.
oh, see what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Or, like,
yeah.
what we're doing, how it's like, oh, we don't give it, like, a lot of this, like, things like it was trying to do, like, there was, like, a conservative media not, like, blowing it off and then being like, anyway, here's some, like, it was clear references to, like, Alex Jones and stuff.
Yeah.
And just, like, all the on-the-nose stuff, it got to a point where it was just coming off as a little obnoxious and just being, like, okay, come on. Like, we get it. It's a climate change. Like, it's important. Like, I totally, like, I believe in climate change. Yeah, Henry believes in climate change, folks.
Dude, getting canceled on your first episode as a full host would be nuts.
That'd be tough. But it was too on the nose for me, and it was like the story was important, and Leo was just he was Leo. He's incredible, and so was Jennifer Lawrence. Like, they were great, and it was just. But the story itself, it wasn't like very like. It was also kind of depressing because like even Adam McKay admitted, he's like, yeah, mining on a comet, that sounds ridiculous. No, we're mining on the moon. Like that like in 20 years I won't be surprised if we start mining shit on space, or like if it's already happening. Like,
no, totally.
It comes off as also depressing as well, because like some of this stuff, it's gonna happen where it's like, wow, people are just gonna find a way to make money out of this and then pretend like nothing's wrong. And it's just like, and we're just gonna try to go about our lives, just like pretend nothing's wrong. And it's like, I wouldn't be, if there was a comet coming to kill us all. Like, I bet some people were like, I don't believe it. I don't think it's real.
Yeah,
it's like that totally would happen.
And it's so upsetting.
It's upsetting, and it tries to be like comedic about it, but I'm like, that's just true, and it's just sad to think about. And again, and also, by the way, I love Timothée Chalamet. He had a great year. He did awesome in The French Dispatch. He was incredible in Dune. What on earth is he doing in Don't Look Up? I'm serious. What is he doing there?
Well, I mean, everyone and their mom was in Don't Look Up. Meryl Streep was there.
Yeah, well, at least Meryl Streep had a role. At least she had like something important going on. But
that is true. That is true. Timothée didn't do anything.
There was no point in having him there. None. He was just
like,
I
didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I'm like, what on earth is he doing here? Why is he like dating Jennifer Lawrence now? Like, what's going on? So his role just seemed forced because he's Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah.
You have to get him in. It's just like, yeah, I didn't get that, because at least with Ariana Grande, you could like get like it's a kind of a self-aware role.
Yeah.
She's like being the superstar singer and being in dating trouble, but she's like playing that role because she is that, and like the self-awareness there is kind of funny. Timothy's just being the guy with the long hair, being like, trying to be contrarian. Yeah. It's like for the 900th time, this one just is like crammed in there because it's Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah,
I didn't like that.
Well, I guess it also kind of reveals like the like weird like middle group of people in our nation who you know, the kind of person who was like not to make fun of you, but what's your saying again? To each their own.
For movies.
He kind of gives me like the to each their own kind of vibe.
Yeah.
I mean, not really, because obviously he is like a supporter of the comet or the asteroid coming towards them, but he is kind of like the more like, you know this is the, like, I don't know, just like the hipster, like weird kind of vibe, which I think makes sense.
It's worked before,
but it doesn't do anything narrative. You're right about that,
because it did a good job, especially in Lady Bird, when he played that like contrarian role, where it's like, okay, you're kind of being contrarian for the sake of it, and he does a good job of doing that. Yeah. But this one, was kind of trying to do that, but it didn't work, and he was trying to like, I have a Christian background stuff. I sort of believe in God, but like not really. I want to go smoke pot while I skateboard. It's like, I like you a lot, Timothy. You're a great actor, and sometimes the hate you get is a little unfair. But come on, you don't. Why are you in this? Adam McKay, why'd you put him in this? And also, that's a movie where I'm like, does this really have? It's getting awards nomination partly because it's like, it's a powerful message. It's like, but for me, it just is too on the nose.
Yeah.
It's too like, and that's I think a problem I have with Adam McKay. That was something that I was like, how I feel about Vice,
Yeah.
like the Dick Cheney movie. I was like, this is again a little on the nose, and it's being a little iffy, and that also was playing with history to a point where it's like, I don't know, like, it feels weird. It just makes me feel like. Because I don't think, like, I'm like, wow, this is a good movie. I don't think that. I just am like, I feel weird about this. And it's like, also just feel depressed about just America.
I mean, that's really funny. My favorite part about Don't Look Up were probably the last 20, 15 minutes, which was undoubtedly the most depressing part of the movie.
Also, yeah, just the world ending is like, yeah, that feels good with climate change news every day. Here, how do I, like... Look, getting it like a distraction, there are problems with using something as a distraction, like sports or movies as a distractionism. But, like, at times I'm just like, I can't take the bad news in the world. I need something like...
Yeah, we're not built for that. It's not healthy for us to be taking in all that, like, negative information.
Yeah. Especially negative information about the world. It's just like, I don't really need this right now. It's not even like, it would be better. Like, there have been movies about climate change. Like, there was one called First Reformed, and I was like, that unsettled me, but I think for a good reason.
Yeah.
Because it really makes you think about, like, just climate change and just our everyday lives. This felt like on a grander scale, but, like, stupidly.
Yeah. And I guess it really hits hard about the people who don't believe, and it gives very little hope in its film, which I think if they were more hopeful in storytelling and like being like there is still some good in people.
I don't know if it has to be hopeful. It's just like the end of the world's just a depressing
That's
thought.
true.
It's just a depressing thought inherently.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like hopeful, but like I overall I wasn't a fan.
Yeah.
I swear to God, if that wins Best Picture,
that'd be so fun. There's no way. There's no way, right?
Yeah, there's no way. But also the amount of Fox News would love that because they'd have the material for days.
Yeah.
They'd be like, but I'd also be like, hey, I just didn't think it was that good of a movie, just cinematically. Like, so that's what I'm trying to clarify. It's an important issue, but from a movie making standpoint, for me, I did not think it was very good, and I don't think Adam McKay, I don't think he's my favorite in that way. So
that's fair.
It's fair. Again, I don't want. I really just want to clarify that.
I feel like you have to be okay with breaking some hearts on the podcast.
Fine.
I'm
trying to be too nice.
I think the moment that we get hate comments is when we're gonna actually blow up.
Let's go. I've gotten hate comments for podcasts before.
Have you actually?
It's pretty. I'll tell you off air about it. It's pretty funny.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I was gonna say my least favorite part about Don't Look Up was Jonah Hill.
I
think the issue is the humor just isn't for me.
Yeah.
I don't think I was made to like that kind of humor.
Oh, being just an unlikable prick.
Yeah,
he plays that so well. Like, he's underrated in how good he can be at playing a prick.
I mean, I don't think he does a poor job at it. I just feel like the character's writing itself just was not for me. And I think it kind of like this. It's similar to what you were talking about. It kind of dips into the like. This is a bit too on the nose and too extreme for me to buy in to it. But I don't know. I thought the movie was fine at best.
Okay, it was better than say most crap out there. But like, am I gonna be like? If I had to do it like out of 10, I'm doing like a 5, maybe a 5 out of 10.
I think I gave it a 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
There we go. I love that.
So
I still need to check my friend's Letterboxd review. I haven't checked in a while, but Well, you want to transition to movies I'm looking forward to?
Yeah, of course. The one that I'm most excited. This is probably going to come to no surprise to you. Is the Batman?
Oh,
or Batman? I forget.
It's the Batman.
It is the Batman. Okay, good. I just think. The movie looks so interesting. It gives me like hardcore Seven and Zodiac vibes.
That's exactly what it's going for.
And I'm just so
I've read up on it. That's what exactly they've been inspired by.
It looks so sick. And like I think we can like really get like I think the Nolan films are great.
They're fantastic.
I've been piece by piece rewatching The Dark Knight recently, like in like 10-minute intervals.
I was watching it like 2 nights ago.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, and I was like every scene, like every little like the subtlety in each scene is like. This is like better than any Marvel movie combined.
It's so well done.
It's so perfectly done.
And like, I love not to make this a rant about the Dark Knight, but I just love like the theme of like what it means to be Batman and what it means to like act as a symbol in like this like dark world. And I think it's so cool.
And I love that, but what's fascinating, I think they're not going to do that.
No, I don't think they're going to do it either.
That's what they're like, we're trying to steer away from that. The Dark Knight did that perfectly.
Yeah.
And for us to try to replicate it would be stupid.
No, I think go ahead.
And I think because Batman, as such, has always had potential to be an incredible noir.
Yeah.
But it's never done that.
Yeah.
But Batman's had its own styles, and it's worked well. Like Tim Burton's Batman was perfect. Christopher Nolan's Batman was somehow even more perfect. But Batman as a noir has never really happened, or a neo-noir like in the Light of Seven or in Fight Club. Like, I think that's exactly what they're going for, and I'm very excited for that. And plus, I love Robert Pattinson a lot.
Yeah.
Outside of the Twilight movies, he's been one of the best actors. Since the Twilight movies ended, because those were crap, since those ended, he's been one of the best actors in Hollywood, and I don't think it's that close.
Yeah, I still really need to watch Lighthouse. Is that what it is with Willem Dafoe?
The Lighthouse, Good Time. Oh, Good Time, so good.
I've never heard of Good Time.
Good Time. It's like this really fast-paced, quick movie in New York City about two brothers robbing a bank.
Oh,
and the other brother, like Robert Pattinson's brother, like in the movie, he gets arrested, and his brother's also like has like a disability as well. But it's him on the run. It's really like you feel like you're in New York City. Yeah. Really fast-paced. A lot of kind of crazy stuff happens in it, and it's just
interesting. I might have to check that out then.
It's really good. It's probably one of the best films of the last 10, like in the 2010s.
Oh wow, okay.
It's really
that's a big claim.
It's up there. It's really up there. It's
right.
like the Safdie brothers. Like it's
right.
really. It's
I'll totally look into it then. But what I'm really excited about for the Batman is it looks like it's going to take a more like psychological look at Bruce Wayne and Batman and what that means and what that takes and like what it is going to be like to become, because he looks like raw and brutal in this version, which Batman always is.
Yeah,
but like
they will play him as like a playboy. He's not gonna be a playboy.
No, he does not look. He looks.
Robert Pattinson wouldn't work as a playboy anyways. Like,
you don't think so?
No, I don't think.
I don't know. I think you swoop up that hair a little bit.
No, I can't see him as like the Christian Bale playboy, because Bale played such a great torture playboy, but putting on a front of a tortured soul. Bale did that perfectly. Michael Keaton did a great the stoicism of Batman. Christian Bale also did the great anger and rage of Batman. This, I think, can be better in terms of just being angry, rage, angsty Batman.
Yeah,
like
he seems like he's really in turmoil.
There's a fine line to it, yes, but I think they can do it. I'm hopeful for it. So
no, and like everything oozes with so much style. Like all this this is a random shot, but I'm obsessed with the shot of him grappling up the stairwell, and the camera's like locked on him the entire time, so you just see the stairs moving. Yeah, I think it all looks sick.
Yeah, all the trailer shots, I'm like, that looks like that's different because that's never been done with Batman before, and that's something unique and that's something that's going to be good, because it's hard to do change the Batman formula up every 10 years. Literally. And trying to do something different. Some do it really well, others don't. Yeah, I think this can do it very well.
No, I'm very hopeful for this.
I'm very excited for it as well.
How about you? What's another movie you're excited for?
Well, it's a movie that came out in 2021, but came out in Japan.
Okay.
So I was unable to see it for a while. It's this road movie called Drive My Car. It's by a director called Ryosuke Hamaguchi, and it's going to be a road trip movie. But I'm excited because it's Ryosuke Hamaguchi's movie, because I've seen his work before. One of my favorite movies, I watched over quarantine. I got huge, after watching Parasite twice in theaters, film nerd, there we go. I got huge into watching East Asian cinema.
Okay.
I watched a lot of Bong Joon-ho stuff, a lot of other Korean directors. Then I jumped to Japan and watched a lot of Hirokazu Korida movies and Ryosuke Hamaguchi. And his movies really, the shot selections in them, the characters' performances, the story is also riveting. Yeah. And especially, it's the one, Asako 1 and 2. That's one I recommend.
As in 1 and 2, as in the different movies? Or it's 1 and 2 is the title?
Asako 1 and 2 is the movie title.
Okay.
It's really good, because it's kind of like there's two, like it's the same character, but she's kind of two different people. She like radically changes who she
Oh,
is.
okay.
So it's kind of like she's two different people.
Interesting. I'm walking out of this with so many recommendations.
I'm a walking like movie recommendation list. Like PSA, like I will be bringing up so many movies that it's like, like someone write down all the crap I recommend, and the list. And by the end of like the semester, we'll have a whole list.
We'll have a supercut at the very end.
A supercut of all the movies I've recommended. But yeah, this is something I'm very excited for. I've looked forward to it. It's gotten buzz at a lot of film festivals as well, so I'm excited for it. His deep storytelling is so good, and his direction is so perfect. So I'm excited for it because of the director.
Yeah,
that's what's great about it. I like road trip movies.
Yeah,
I like a lot of movies, believe it or not.
But, what? Really? No way.
But yeah, I'm very excited for it. It's coming out in a local theater. I think not this Friday, but next Friday.
Oh, really?
So I'm gonna see it very soon.
Can I crash your viewing?
Sure.
To
why
it?
not? I might be doing a review for it as well.
Really?
For a publication. So.
Okay, sick.
Yeah.
No, I'd be very curious to see it because I've never heard of that director.
Oh
and
yeah,
I've
he's
always wanted to learn
fantastic.
more.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Have you seen? This is such a basic movie to bring up.
Sure.
But have you seen Train to Busan? That's one of my favorite.
It's great. It's a great
South Korean movie.
Well, it's fantastic. Like Korean movies as well. I've watched enough now where it's like the endings. Especially in the new wave of Korean cinema, there are no happy endings. There's endings that will make you think. Make you think long and hard about what it means to be human.
Yeah.
But there are no happy endings. Like Train to Busan was not a happy ending.
No,
that was sad, and that's very typical. Like a lot of movies end like with a very deep, profound ending, or just a straight up sad ending. Even horror movies do not end happily.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like even after watching even though Train to Busan definitely has a sad ending, there is still like a little glimmer of hope and beauty and humanity and whatnot, which I definitely appreciate. That's what I think that's what I need. Like sometimes like watching like a Black Mirror episodes a little too much for me. You know what I mean? I watch episode like I need a little breather, then I'll come back and watch the next one or something. But I definitely feel like Train to Busan specifically does like a good job of balancing that, which I think is
it's better than any zombie movie you'll ever like besides the OG zombie movie from Pittsburgh guy George Romero, Night of the Living Dead, incredible. That's another one, another recommendation. We should get let's do it by the end of the year. Like we go back and watch all our stuff, and we get a supercut of every single little thing.
That'll be the editor's job.
That would be the editor's job.
I'm gonna have the editor time code every
time I recommend, like just to keep him like, okay, editor, you need to track every time Henry recommends.
Could you imagine? That'd be the weirdest first task to ever give someone. Be like, hey, we just need you to like, cut this episode for time, make sure all the jokes flow, just make sure the conversation flows, and also count every time that Henry recommends something. Yeah. Why? Oh, don't worry about it. We'll tell you at the end.
We'll tell you at the end of the semester. It's a surprise.
Just keep like a soft list for us. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, is that at the end of episode 7?
Yeah, I think this is a good spot. Yeah, to end episode 7. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into this episode.
Thank you so much, guys. I'm so excited to talk. I'm going to be rambling a lot and recommending stuff, and that's all I'm going to be doing.
No, this is going to be fun.
Yeah. So,
be sure to check us out on YouTube. We're at Autonomous Productions. We're also on Spotify under the Some Pulp Podcast.
Instagram.
We're on Instagram at autonomous_, I believe. And if you ever are interested in being part of the podcast, being part of Autonomous Productions, productions in general, it's Autonomous Productions at gmail.com. Autonomous spelled with an O.
Yeah.
Not an AU and two T's. Yeah, because we're Otto.
Yeah. Please reach out.
Yes, totally.
Also, we may have a TikTok coming.
And we may have a TikTok coming for the Some Pulp Podcast, so keep an eye out for that. Lots of things to come, especially from this podcast. We're hoping to really revamp it this semester and make it a bit fresher.
Yeah.
Anyway,
all right, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And we'll see you guys when we post.
See ya.